Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Deep Dive. Today we are not just talking about a destination.
No.
We are talking about an expedition. We are packing our virtual rucksacks and heading straight into the heart of the Himalayas to stand in the shadow of a giant.
And we aren't using that word lightly. We are talking about the killer mountain.
Nanga Parbat.
Exactly.
But we aren't just looking at a picture of it on a screen. We are walking you through a specific on-the-ground itinerary, the Nanga Parbat Mazeno Pass Trek. This is part of the Adventure Tours Pakistan, or, ATP Adventure Series.
And this is a serious undertaking. We are looking at code ATPTR05. It's a 19-day comprehensive journey that circles the entire Nanga Parbat massif.
19 days.
19 days. You're combining the lush, almost European beauty of Fairy Meadows with the rugged, high-altitude, lung-burning challenge of the Mazeno Pass.
It really is the best of both worlds, isn't it? You get the postcard views that everyone wants, but you also, earn your stripes as a serious trekker.
You really do.
Now, before we start the climb, we need to be clear about who is taking us there. This trip is officially organized and managed by Adventure Tours Pakistan.
That distinction is crucial. When you are heading into the Karakoram in the Himalayas, you need logistics you can trust. I mean, you absolutely need them.
Of course.
ATP provides the on-the-ground expertise. We are talking about the jeeps, the guides, the porters, the safety nets. You cannot just, DIY a crossing of a 5,399-meter pass without serious support.
Absolutely not. So if you're listening to this and you feel the call of the mountains, you can book this exact trip or find all the details at ewp.com.pk, and that's also www.adventuretourspakistan.com.
And they make it easy to get in touch.
They do.
Yeah.
If you're the type who likes to chat with a human being to sort out the details, they have a direct booking line on WhatsApp or via call at +92 347 410 0004.
We'll mention that again later.
We will, but you might want to keep those details handy.
Because by the end of this hour, you might just be ready to book.
Oh, I think they will be. So let's sketch this out. We are starting in the heat of Islamabad, taking a terrifyingly beautiful Jeep ride, relaxing in the serenity of Fairy Meadows, and then the big one, climbing over the Mazeno Pass.
It is a journey of contrasts. You go from a modern capital city to the high desert, to alpine forests, to glaciers, and finally to the high-altitude snows.
Let's get right into it then. Segment 1, the gateway. Day 1, you land in Islamabad.
Right. And Islamabad is often a surprise for first-time visitors to Pakistan.
How so?
Well, people have these preconceptions, but Islamabad is a purpose-built city. It's green, it's organized, and it's nestled right against the Margalla Hills. It's clean, it's orderly.
It's the calm before the storm, isn't it?
It really is. It's a deliberate buffer. You arrive at the airport, and the ATP representative is there to meet you.
Which has got to be a relief after a long international flight. You're tired, maybe a little disoriented.
It is huge. You don't have to worry about finding a taxi or navigating a new city. You're met, you're greeted, and you get transferred to your hotel, usually something like the Hillview or a similar standard.
And what's that first day like? Are you just left on your own?
No, not at all. It's a chance to shake off the jet lag, for sure. But there's usually a briefing with your guide and the rest of the group. You go over the itinerary, they check your gear, answer any last-minute questions.
So you get to meet the people you'll be spending the next 2.5 weeks with.
Exactly. It allows you to mentally shift gears from travel mode to expedition mode. You're building that team camaraderie right from the start. You're not just a tourist anymore. You're part of an expedition.
I like that. Shifting gears. And the ruggedness starts pretty much immediately on day 2.
It does.
We are hitting the road. We are driving to Chilas. Now, looking at the map, this isn't a short drive.
No, it's about 8 to 9 hours, sometimes longer, depending on traffic and road conditions. But you are driving on history. This is the Karakoram Highway, KKH.
The 8th wonder of the world, they call it.
It's not an exaggeration. It's an incredible feat of engineering. It follows the path of the old Silk Route, connecting Pakistan to China over some of the most difficult terrain on Earth.
So what does that drive actually look like? What are you seeing out the window for 9 hours?
The landscape shifts dramatically. You start by leaving the green plains of Islamabad, and for the first couple of hours, you're driving through lush green hills near towns like Abbottabad and Mansehra. It's very reminiscent of foothills in other parts of the world.
Okay.
But then you start to follow the Indus River, and the further north you go, the deeper you get into its gorge. The earth gets harder, drier. The green gives way to shades of brown and gray. The mountains get bigger, more jagged.
So you're literally watching the geology change around you.
Constantly. You're driving through these deep gorges where the river is just this roaring turquoise snake at the bottom of these massive cliffs. It's mesmerizing.
And I think it's important to pause on the KKH itself. It's this marvel, but it came at a serious cost.
A very heavy cost. It took 20 years to build, a joint project between Pakistan and China. The official records show that 810 Pakistanis and 82 Chinese workers lost their lives building this road.
Wow.
So when you're driving along and you look at a section that's just blasted out of a sheer rock face, you realize, every kilometer you drive, you're witnessing a sacrifice that was made to connect these mountains to the rest of the world. It adds a certain weight, a certain gravity to the journey.
It really does. It grounds you. It's not just a road, it's a monument.
It truly is. And along the way, you pass ancient rock carvings, petroglyphs that date back thousands of years. You'll see images of ibex, hunters, Buddhist stupas carved into the rocks by travelers on the Silk Road centuries ago.
So it's a journey through time as well as space?
Absolutely. Then, after 8 or 9 hours of this, you finally descend into Chialis.
And what's Chialis like?
Chialis is the gateway. It's a town in the Daimir district, and it is famous, or perhaps infamous, for being hot and dry.
Hot and dry.
It's a high-altitude desert environment. In the summer, it can feel like an oven. You step out of the air-conditioned van, and the heat just hits you.
So you go from the organized green of Islamabad to the rocky heat of Chialis. It feels like you're entering a fortress.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Chialis is the staging ground. You spend the night there, usually at a hotel like the Shangri-La or Panorama. This is where the anticipation really builds. You can feel the great mountains waiting for you. You look up and see these barren, imposing peaks, and you know that tomorrow, on day 3, you leave the pavement behind.
And that brings us to segment 2, the adrenaline spike. We wake up in Chialis day 3 and we drive to Raikot Bridge.
This is the transition point, a crucial one. Raikot Bridge spans the Indus River. It's a fairly simple suspension bridge, but it marks the end of the line for regular vehicles.
So this is where you say goodbye to the bus or the comfortable car.
You do. You get your gear out, and you meet the local Jeep drivers.
The famous Fairy Meadows Jeeps. I've seen videos of this, and honestly, it looks terrifying.
It is widely considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world, but road is a very generous term. It's a gravel track, often just wide enough for one Jeep, that has been carved out of the side of a sheer cliff.
We are talking about a single lane, right? With a vertical drop on one side that goes down hundreds of meters to the river.
Correct. There are no guardrails.
Yeah.
None. It's dusty, it's rocky, it's incredibly steep, and there are hairpin turns where the driver has to do, a 3-point turn to get around.
At the 3-point turn on a cliff edge.
Yes. But here's the thing, and this is where trusting ATP's logistics comes in. The drivers are absolute masters. They are from the local community. They drive this route every single day, multiple times a day. They know every rock, every turn, every dip in the road.
So for them, it's just a commute.
It's a Tuesday commute for them, but for you, it's a 1.5 to 2 hour white-knuckle ride. You're holding your breath.
I can imagine. What does it feel like? Paint the picture.
Okay, so you're crammed into a 4x4 Jeep. The engine is roaring. You can smell the diesel. The windows are open and dust is swirling in. On one side, your shoulder's almost scraping the rock wall. On the other side, you look straight down, and there's nothing, just air. And way, way down, you can see the tiny ribbon of a river.
It's a pure adrenaline rush.
It is exhilarating. It forces you to be present. You can't be thinking about your emails or your work back home when you're staring down a precipice like that. It's a sensory overload, the roar of the Jeep, the dust, the vertigo-inducing views. It's a wild ride.
And then the Jeep stops. You've reached Tato Village.
You have. Tato is as far as the wheels can possibly go. It's at about 2,600 meters. From here, the legs take over.
So this is the official start of the trek.
This is it. You meet your porters, who are also from the local villages. They expertly sort the loads. Maybe you load up some mules if there's heavy gear. And you start walking.
How hard is this first section of the hike?
It's a moderate hike, but remember, it can be hot. Tato is dry and arid. You are hiking up a winding trail, gaining altitude steadily. It takes about 3 to 4 hours. But as you climb, the landscape performs a kind of magic trick.
What happens?
You start in the dust, among scrubby bushes, but slowly you start to see trees. The air gets cooler, the smell changes. You stop smelling dust and start smelling pine and juniper. You enter a dense, beautiful alpine forest. And then, quite suddenly, the forest opens up.
The reveal.
The reveal. You step out from the trees onto the plateau of Fairy Meadows at 3,300 meters. And there, Directly in front of you, filling the entire sky, is the north face of Nanga Parbat.
I can only imagine that moment. After the long drive, the hot town, the terrifying jeep, the dusty hike, and then suddenly, paradise.
It is overwhelming. It stops you in your tracks. You have to understand the scale. Fairy Meadows is this lush, green, high-altitude pasture, often filled with wildflowers. There are horses grazing. And looming over it is the Raikot face of Nanga Parbat.
And the scale is just immense.
The summit is at 8,126 meters. The vertical relief, the difference between where you are standing and the top of the mountain, is nearly 5,000 meters straight up. It's one of the greatest vertical mountain faces on Earth.
That is just massive. Let's talk about the mountain itself for a second. Nanga Parbat. It's the 9th highest in the world.
And the second highest in Pakistan, after K2. The name Nanga Parbat is Urdu for naked mountain.
Why naked?
Because the slopes are so incredibly steep that snow struggles to cling to them. It's often just sheer rock and ice, constantly shedding avalanches. But locally, in the Shina language, it's known as Diamir, which is much more majestic. It means king of mountains.
A fitting name. But it has a darker nickname, doesn't it? The Killer Mountain.
Yes. And that name is unfortunately well earned. It comes from the early exploration days, particularly the German expeditions of the 1930s. They were determined to conquer it, but the mountain was brutal.
How brutal.
Before the first successful summit in 1953, 31 people had died trying to climb it. 31. That's a staggering number of casualties for one mountain in that era.
It's unbelievable.
It became a national obsession for German climbers. A mountain of destiny, they called it. The first ascent was legendary by the Austrian climber Hermann Buhl. He reached the summit solo, without using supplemental oxygen.
Solo?
Solo. He pushed on after his partner turned back. And because it took so long, darkness caught him on the descent. He had to spend a night standing on a tiny rock ledge just below the summit at over 8,000 meters. It's one of the greatest feats of survival and endurance in mountaineering history.
And when you stand at Fairy Meadows, you are looking right at that history. You are looking at the arena where all these incredible dramas played out.
Exactly. You are looking at the Raikot face, the very face they were trying to climb, but you are viewing it from the safety and the incredible comfort of a beautiful meadow.
Which brings us to segment 3, the sanctuary. Life at Fairy Meadows sounds, well, dreamy.
It really is. It's the perfect name for it. You're staying in these charming alpine log cabins or huts. ATP arranges these accommodations, so you aren't roughing it in a tent just yet.
So you have a bed or roof over your head.
You do. A solid roof, maybe a little wood stove to keep the chill off at night. It's rustic but very comfortable. It's the perfect way to begin the acclimatization process.
And the vibe, what's the atmosphere like?
It's serene. It's so peaceful. During the day, you hear the sound of cowbells as horses graze. At night? Well, because you're at 3,300 meters and there is zero light pollution, the sky is just unbelievable.
The Milky Way.
It looks like it's been painted across the sky. It's so bright you feel like you could reach out and touch it. The locals often build bonfires. You sit around with hot chai, and you just stare at the mountain and the stars.
And the reflection pond. I've seen photos of this. It looks iconic.
It is. It's a small pond, not much bigger than a puddle, really. But on a clear, still morning, before the wind picks up, the entire massive peak of Nanga Parbat is perfectly mirrored in the water. It's a photographer's dream.
I can imagine. And there's also the alpine glow.
Yes. At sunset, the sun drops below the horizon from your perspective in the valley, so the meadow falls into shadow. But the summit, being over 8,000 meters high, is still in direct sunlight. The snow on the peak turns this incredible shade of pink and orange. It glows. Is one of those sights that just brains itself into your memory.
It sounds like the perfect place to just sit and do nothing. But this is an adventure series, so we aren't just sitting. Day 4 is an acclimatization hike.
Right. You have to prepare your body for what's coming later. You can't just rush up a 5,000-meter pass without letting your body adjust to the lower oxygen levels. So on day 4, you hike from Fairy Meadows to Bayal Camp.
What is Bayal like?
Bayal is at 3,500 meters, so a couple of hundred meters higher. It's a much quieter spot. Fewer tourists make the effort to go there. It's a traditional shepherd settlement nestled even deeper into the forest.
So it feels more remote.
It feels more wild, more secluded. It's less about the perfect photo and more about being in the mountain environment. It's less Instagram, more expedition. The views of the mountain are, if anything, even more dramatic.
And from there, you push towards the base camp.
Yes. The goal for the day is to hike towards the Nanga Parbat north face base camp, which sits at around 3,900 meters. To get there, you're walking along the lateral moraine of the Raikot Glacier.
Describe that for us. What does it feel like to be that close to a living glacier?
It's visceral. It's a powerful experience. You can hear it. Glaciers are alive, they're rivers of ice, and they are constantly moving. You hear these deep cracks and groans as the ice shifts and grinds the rock beneath it.
Oh.
You feel the temperature drop as the cold wind, the katabatic wind, blows off the ice. You can smell the crushed stone, the juniper bushes that grow along the moraine. It's a full sensory experience.
And you get to the German viewpoint.
Yes. It's a specific ridge, a viewpoint named for those early expeditions. It offers this incredible 180-degree panorama. You see the Raikot Peak, the Tagra Peaks, and the main summit of Nanga Parbat. You are right under the wall.
This is where you see the avalanches.
From a safe distance? Yes. You can watch as huge plumes of snow come thundering down the face. You see the power of the mountain firsthand. It's where you truly grasp the scale and the danger of the killer mountain.
That sounds absolutely incredible. So this whole first segment of the trip is really about enjoying it. It's stunning, it's relatively comfortable, and you're acclimatizing.
It is the calm before the storm, in a way. It's the perfect introduction. You are enjoying the north side, the fairy side of the mountain.
Yeah.
But to truly understand this giant, you have to see its other faces. And that is where the real expedition begins.
Right. Segment 4, the southern giant. On day 5, we pack up and leave the fairy tale behind.
We do. We have to reverse the process. Hike back down to Tato Village, take that white-knuckled Jeep ride back down to Raikot Bridge. But instead of going back south toward Islamabad, we stay on the KKH and head deeper into the mountains.
Where are we going?
We drive for a few hours to the Astor Valley and then to the village of Tarashing.
Tarashing sits at 2,900 meters. This feels like a different world compared to Fairy Meadows, I imagine.
It is a completely different world. The Astor Valley is culturally distinct. The people speak Shina. It's a working agricultural hub for the region. You see these beautiful terraced fields of potatoes, peas, barley, and apricot orchards. It's a living, breathing community, not just a tourist spot. It feels more grounded, more authentic in a way.
And this is the gateway to the Rupal face.
The mighty Rupal face. If the Raikot face is beautiful and elegant, the Rupal face is terrifyingly imposing. It's a completely different beast.
On day 6, we start trekking from Tarashing to the Herrlighofer base camp. Who is Herrlighofer? He sounds important.
Dr. Karl Herrlighofer was a German physician and expedition leader who was absolutely obsessed with Nanga Parbat. He led multiple expeditions to this face over several decades, starting in the 1950s. The base camp is named in his honor.
And as we trek there, we are walking towards something significant. You mentioned earlier the vertical relief.
Yes. The Rupal face is often cited as the highest vertical wall on the planet.
The highest on the planet. That's a huge claim.
It is. From the base where you stand, at around 3,500 meters, to the summit at 8,126 meters, the mountain rises 4,600 meters, almost straight up.
Can you put that into perspective for us?
Okay, think of the most famous big wall in the world, El Capitan in Yosemite. That's about 900 meters high. You could stack 5 El Capitans on top of each other, and you would still not reach the top of the Rupal face.
That is just hard to even comprehend.
It blocks out the sky. When you arrive at Herrlighofer Base Camp, you have to crane your neck all the way back just to try and see the summit. It makes you feel incredibly profoundly small. It has its own weather system. You can literally watch clouds form halfway up the wall while it's sunny where you're standing.
And at this point, the accommodation changes, right? No more cozy log cabins.
No more cabins. We are in a full expedition mode now. We are sleeping in high-quality mountain tents.
This is where the ATP support staff really become essential.
Absolutely essential. You have a team of cooks, guides, and porters. While you're trekking for the day, they're either carrying the gear or have gone ahead to set up the next camp. So when you arrive, tired from the day's hike, your tent is already up, the kitchen tent is running, and soon you'll have hot tea and then a full dinner.
That's a game changer.
It allows you to focus on the climbing, the acclimatization, and the views, rather than worrying about setting up a tent in the dark or trying to cook pasta on a sputtering camp stove when you're exhausted at altitude.
So we are at the foot of this monster wall. This feels like the real beginning. Segment 5, the crux. This is where the adventure series earns its name. Days 7 through 13, we are heading into the wild.
We are. The next stage is to move from Herrlighofer Base Camp to a place called Latoba, which is also known as Tut Meadows.
Latoba, what's it like there?
It's a beautiful, tranquil green spot, even higher up the valley. There's a small lake. It's often used for a rest and acclimatization day. You need to gather your strengths here, explore the area, let your body adapt, because the greenery is about to end.
Because what comes next is the open zone. That sounds ominous.
It just means we are now in an area that requires a special trekking permit. We are leaving the main valleys, the villages, and the shepherds behind. We are moving toward the high passes. And the landscape shifts dramatically from green meadows to the high alpine zone, which means scree, rock, ice, and snow.
The trek rating for this trip is officially strenuous. I think this is the part where listeners need to understand this isn't a casual walk in the park.
Not at all. You need good cardiovascular fitness. You will be hiking for hours each day at significant altitude. But the reward is that you are seeing parts of the mountain that 99% of tourists will never, ever see. Most people go to Fairy Meadows, they take their selfie, and they leave.
But you're walking around the entire mass.
You are earning every single view. You're entering the true wilderness.
And the climax of this entire section is crossing the Mazzino Pass. It sits at 5,399 meters. Let's just say that again. That is nearly 5,400 meters.
To put that in context again, that is higher than the base camp of Mount Everest. It is significantly higher than the summit of Mont Blanc, the highest peak in Western Europe.
Wow. And what's it like at that altitude?
The air is thin, very thin. Every step is an effort. Your breathing is labored. Your heart is pounding. You move slowly and deliberately. You're navigating steep ascents, potentially walking over snowfields even in the middle of summer, depending on the conditions. This is where your mental fortitude really comes into play. It's as much a mental challenge as a physical one.
I bet. So what is the view like from the top of the pass when you finally make it?
It is unparalleled. It's one of the great views in the Himalayas. You are straddling this massive divide. Behind you, you look back down the valley towards the Rupol side, that monster wall you've been living with. And then you look ahead, and a whole new world opens up. You see the descent into the Diamir side of the mountain.
So you're on the shoulder of the giant.
You really are. You feel utterly isolated, remote, and completely alive. It's a moment of absolute clarity. You, the mountains, and your small team. Nothing else matters.
And the descent from the pass, is it as hard as the ascent?
In many ways, it's harder on the body. It's steep. You're tired. You drop down into the Diamir Valley. And this side of the mountains feels even more raw, more wild. It's the wild side of the mountain. You are now far from the nearest road, far from any village. The geology is chaotic and beautiful.
This is where you really, really have to rely on your guides.
Absolutely. You cannot do this without them. The ATP guides know this route intimately. They know the weather patterns, which can change in an instant up there. Navigating a 5,400-meter pass isn't something you can guess at with a map. They ensure you get up and, just as importantly, down safely.
So they're managing the pace, the conditions?
They're managing everything. They're checking the snow conditions, choosing the safest line. They are the difference between a potentially dangerous situation and a controlled, unforgettable adventure.
So we've crossed the pass. We are exhausted but completely elated. That brings us to segment 6, the circuit complete. We are now on the Diamir side of Nanga Parbat.
We are. This is day 14 and 15 of the journey. After descending from the pass, we make our way to the Nanga Parbat Diamir base camp. So now think about it. We've seen the Raikot face from the north at Fairy Meadows. We've lived under the Rupol face from the south, and now we are standing at the base of the Diamir face on the west.
You've essentially done a full circumnavigation of the mountain.
A semi-circumnavigation, yes. You see the king of mountains from every major angle. Each face has a completely different character. The Diamir face is massive, broad, and deeply imposing. It's actually where the standard climbing route for most modern summit attempts is a route called the Kinshasa Road.
Standing there, having crossed that huge pass, looking at this third and final face, that has to be a profound moment of reflection.
It is the completion of a pilgrimage, in a sense. You have walked where legends walked. You have struggled. You have sweated. You have pushed your body to its limits, and you have seen nature at its most raw and powerful. You have a 360-degree understanding of this mountain now, something very few people will ever achieve.
But all good things must come to an end. We have to get back to the real world. The trek out.
The trek out takes about 3 days. From the Diamir base camp, you begin your long descent, hiking down through a place called Bunardas, and you're heading steadily downwards towards the roadhead.
And as you descend, I imagine everything starts to reverse. The heat returns.
It does. With every 100 meters you drop, you feel the air getting thicker, warmer, easier to breathe. That richness of oxygen feels like an incredible luxury after days of being so high. The barren rock and ice give way to scrub, then bushes, then finally trees return.
And eventually, you hit the road.
You do. You meet the Jeeps, which suddenly feel like the most modern vehicles on Earth, and you drive back out to the Karakoram Highway and head back to Chilas for a night.
That drive back to Islamabad along the KKH must feel very different after 18 days in the mountains.
It's a decompression chamber. It really is. You are watching the mountains recede in the rearview mirror. You're processing what you just accomplished. You're a different person than the one who drove up this road 2 weeks ago.
And then you finally get to that hotel in Islamabad and that first hot shower.
It might be the best shower of your entire life.
I believe it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It washes off the dust of the Mizeno Pass, but the memory, the feeling of it all, that stays with you.
And then day 19, you transfer to the airport and you fly home.
You do, carrying memories that very, very few people possess. You didn't just see a picture of Nanga Parbat. You lived with it for nearly 3 weeks. You felt its cold, you breathed its thin air, you survived its altitude, you walked its valleys.
So let's just unpack this whole experience. Why should someone choose this specific trip? Why the Mizeno Pass trek over, say, just a trip to Fairy Meadows?
Look, if you want a beautiful, comfortable mountain holiday, Fairy Meadows is one of the best in the world. But if you are a trekker, if you want a real challenge, Fairy Meadows alone might feel a little too soft. It's a stunning destination.
Yeah.
But the Mizeno Pass is a journey. It's a genuine expedition.
It tests you.
It tests you physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And it gives you a complete, intimate understanding of the geography and scale of one of the world's greatest mountains. It's for the person who wants to go beyond the postcard and write their own story.
And doing it with a company like ATP.
I would say it's non-negotiable for a route like this. The logistics, the permits, the food planning, the tents, the porters, the safety protocols are incredibly complex. ATP has been doing this for decades. They have deep relationships with the local communities. They know the terrain like the back of their hand.
So you have peace of mind.
You have peace of mind, so you can focus on putting one foot in front of the other and taking in the view. You don't want to be trying to negotiate with porters at 4,000 meters or worrying if you have enough fuel for your stove. You want ATP handling all of that seamlessly in the background.
It really is a strenuous grade trek, as they list it. A final word on preparation.
It is. Train for it. Do lots of hiking with a backpack. Build your cardiovascular endurance. Don't come straight off the couch. But if you are fit and you have an adventurous spirit, it is accessible. You don't need technical climbing skills. You don't need to know how to ice climb or do rock climbing. Just endurance and a strong will.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm ready to go. If I'm listening right now and I want to book this trip, where do I go?
You go to their websites. The main one is at atp.com.pk, or you can use www.adventuretourspakistan.com. Look for the Nanga Parbat Mizeno Pass trek. The code is ATPP-05. All the details, the day-by-day plan, the gear list, it's all there.
And that number again if you want to talk to a person.
You can reach them directly on WhatsApp or by call. The number is +92 347 410 0004. They can answer any specific questions you have about gear, dates, physical preparation, anything.
Fantastic. So whether you are a photographer chasing that perfect reflection in the pond, a serious trekker looking for your next big challenge, or maybe just a dreamer who wants to see the killer mountain with your own eyes, Nanga Parbat is calling.
And ATP is absolutely the way to answer that call safely and unforgettably.
That's it for this deep dive into the heart of the Himalayas. We hope you enjoyed the journey. And maybe when you're done with this trek, you'll start wondering what it would take to see the other side of the mountain from the top.
Keep exploring.
See you on the next adventure.